Hey, everybody. I'm going to give you a summer reading list, 3 of my favorite books that will help you become a better lover. Only one of these books is about sex, frankly, but they're all about learning about yourself, about your life, and all of that will play out for you sexually. Because what happens is the more people are self aware emotionally, the more able they are to not only read and understand their own emotional experience, but their partners as well. And what happens then is people become
Before we start, a small disclaimer. The Sex Doctors podcast is not a substitute for medical or psychological advice.
much more tuned in lovers and much more connected lovers. So, what I hear actually as a common complaint from people is that their partner is robotic in bed. So, robotic in bed kind of implies being shut down emotionally, kind of disconnected. Nobody likes to have sex with a robotic partner. I mean, that's just not what people long for. Okay. They want people who are tuned into themselves and their passion and who can read them. So these 3 books I recommend to so many of my clients, and I've read them and enjoyed them all. And I really hope you take these recommendations seriously. The first one, probably my favorite, is a fairly recent book. It's called On Self-Hatred by the School of Life. I love these authors, the School of Life. They put out all kinds of really great work. So you could find other stuff by them, and chances are I've read it and really enjoy it. But on self-hatred, I think, is their best book. Now, don't be put off by the title. It's a dramatic title, and frankly, I wish they would have toned it down a little bit, because every time I recommend this book, people are like, I don't hate myself. Well, fair enough. You don't hate yourself. However, there are things about the way you criticize yourself or your approach in the world that could use a little self-awareness to it. Okay, so this book explains so much stuff. It explains shyness. It explains people pleasing. It explains folks who are just like relentlessly trying to achieve all this kind of stuff. Really, so it's a short little book and it's right to the point. So my criticism of it is that it uses strong terms like I hate myself. You don't have to hate yourself to get so much from this book. Think of it more as a self-criticism book, and everybody criticizes themselves about something. I hope you get it, and you know what else? I hope you give it to someone. After you read it, I hope you pass this along, because life is hard. It's challenging for most people, and the more they understand themselves, the more comfortable their life is going to be. Okay, so I hope you pass it on. The next book I'm going to recommend is by James Hollis. He's a Jungian analyst. He's written several books, but this one's by far my favorite. It's called Finding Meaning in the Second Half of Life. Now, you don't have to be in the second half of your life to benefit so much from this book. This book is it's about as wise as any book you're going to read in terms of your own experience of your life and how to negotiate it. So this book gives you great journaling questions. And it too is a fabulous book to pass on to someone else. Frankly, wisdom is essential in managing life, and this book is completely filled with it. So please read it. Take it slow, consider what you're reading, and do the journaling questions it suggests. I really encourage my clients to do this, to get this book and use that. And again, pass it along to someone who can use it, because who doesn't need a little more wisdom in their life? And finally, I want to recommend A Billion Wicked Thoughts. This is just a fun book about what people like sexually, like in terms of sexual fantasy and porn and stuff like this. This book's been out a while. It came out in 2014. So some of it is not up to date in terms of like the most popular things that people search for in porn today is different than it was in 2014. In 2014, things like cuckolding was way up there. Today, anime is way up there. Okay, but that's not the point. The point is there is so much variety and what people enjoy sexually much more than I think most people realize. Even if you look at porn and you see the variety on a porn site, I think still this is really worth your time in terms of understanding sexual fantasy, not necessarily sexual fantasy, but what turns people on. It will probably surprise you. When I read this in 2014, it did surprise me, and I'd been a sex therapist for a while. So it's a good education. I use this in my practice a lot when I feel like, for example, a man is uncomfortable about what turns him on. He's self-conscious about it. I have him read this book. Or in a heterosexual couple, if his partner is uncomfortable with what turns him on, I ask her to read this book because it really helps put in a perspective what gets people off. And that's only going to make you a better lover if you understand it. I know these authors, Ogas and Gadam. I met them after I read their book. I tracked them down because I was like, that was a brilliant book, and I wanted to meet the authors of that book. And since then, we've done some writing together. And but they're the only of all these authors. They're the only ones I know. And of course, I don't get kickbacks for any of these books. These people don't know I'm even talking about their books today. But summer's coming. You're going to have at least a little time on your hands, and I hope you use it wisely. These books will not steer you wrong, and why not bring a little more wisdom into your own life and share it with other people? One of the things I love so much as a therapist is when I recommend one of these books, and then my client comes back to me and says, you know what, it was great. I gave it to my partner. I gave it to my reading group. I love that because we all need help. Life is challenging, and so these books offer a lot of great guidance. So I hope you read them this summer.